thank you everybody for being here. Not to cut off any conversation, but just want to go ahead and dive in, respect all of your time. Um, our small business workshop is one of our favorite ways to really connect with our small business community with both the online and virtual opportunities. So I will talk a little bit more about other opportunities in the future, but we do have next month on October 22nd a small business workshop that is on grant writing. So if you know of anybody that is in the grant writing field, nonprofit world, please invite them to join us for that. And then in November, I'm forgetting the date, but we have a small business workshop that's going to be on crime prevention opportunities. That is going to be done through our police networks here, offering that information. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Melissa Yanko with Inkworks Studios, our sponsor, to say a few words.
Do I have to stand over there?
You can stand wherever you'd like.
Good morning, everybody. As Alan said, my name is Melissa Yanko. I own Inkworks Studio. We're a custom residential architecture firm, and our brick and mortar office is in Fairlawn, Virginia. We specialize in both single and multifamily design projects. I'm here sponsoring this particular workshop because I am a small woman-owned business, and I love to support other small woman and minority-owned businesses. In fact, all of the engineers that I hire to work on projects with me, all are small or woman or minority-owned businesses, because we need to all lean in and support each other. I did bring some information about my services if anyone was ever interested in that, but mostly I just wanted to say I'm really glad you're here. This certification, while I've never done it, after 27 years of business, is on my to-do list of things to do every year. So I'm really glad I'm here this year to do it. I think it's great that y'all are tackling this, and I look forward to learning about it with you.
I will say if you're online, put it in the chat, but if you have questions, please just send it through the chat because we can't hear you in here. I don't know the right words for that in the room. If we can take a second, go ahead and go around the room, introduce ourselves, and if you will say who you are, name of your business, and what about SWAM certification caught your attention. So we'll start with you, Johanna.
So yes, my name is Johanna Hicks. I'm actually downtown Christiansburg. I own the Anglo Flores flower shop downtown, which is also a small event place for many events. So you can tell everybody. Yeah, I started out with it's definitely a family owned business and also family operated. It's actually owned by me. But yeah, I'm excited about learning about the SWAM program. I've been wanting to do this for a while, just because it can possibly help you with possibly loan writing. So if we're getting loans or things like that, it can be there could be a chance that it can help you for your business. So I'm really happy about being here today. So thank you for the opportunity.
I'm Scarlett Williams. I've developed a rapid stress recovery protocol that uses a preventive and a treatment and to enhance performance, to decrease out negative symptoms associated with adverse events. So I have a federal contracting license, or number. I got the contracting for the state, the even number. And so I've been trying to figure out how to do this too. So I've got a lot of numbers in my head and I'm trying to figure out how to make it all work.
My name is Whitney Dunn. I'm from David Stevens Plumbing. I'm getting ready to marry David in 30 days. And so I have become 50% owner and I'm just, or 51, whatever. And I am trying to just get us in the right direction now that he's finally let somebody else take the reins.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So not stressing or anything.
I'm Andy Womble, and this is my husband, Chris Womble. We run IT Mushroom. It's an IT consultant business that just opened up in the New River Valley. We're focusing heavy on the automation process, so streamlining your workflows and helping your apps talk together to kind of smooth your processes. We've also been doing a lot of website designs for small businesses. So yeah, this one right here.
What she said, and we do everything together, so it makes sense. Are you gonna introduce folks online?
I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna turn it over to Terry.
Alrighty. Well, I am Terry Welch, owner of Paint and Fun Ceramics and owner of Outrageous Smash and Splatter, which hasn't opened yet. Paint and Fun Ceramics is a paint your own pottery studio that I turned into an oasis for adults as much as for kids. And so we do everything from clay hand building to pottery wheel throwing to paint your own pottery, stained glass, glass blowing, you name it. If it's art, we do it. And then with Outrageous Smash and Splatter, that was kind of inspired by my granddaughter, who has a lot of rage. She's one of the two grandchildren I raised. And, you know, we just started when she was upset about things, we just started going out in the backyard and breaking stuff, beating it up against a tree. And so I decided to turn that into a business, and we've been talking to people and everybody's excited about it. So as soon as we find a location, then we'll open. But what we're here for today is our SWAM certification workshop. And let me see if I can, do I just hit the, oh, there we go, the space bar. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about why and how. When I was owner of Wine and Design many years ago, I signed up for a SWAM certification, and it opened doors that I had no idea were closed. So I like to talk to people about this because it's important, and you don't have to be a woman-owned business. It's a small or woman or minority or all owned business. So that's why we want to talk to everybody about this. So SWAM does stand for Small Woman Owned and Minority Owned Business. The whole purpose is it is a state certification, so you get certified by the state, and it helps you gain access to state contracts. Now, maybe you think, I don't know about state contracts, but if you want to do business with anybody at Virginia Tech or Radford University, which we're smack in the middle of right here, having that SWAM certification will make you a preferred vendor for those organizations. Same thing for New River Community College. The state has set aside, they have to utilize like 35 to 40% of their accounts payable have to go out to small woman-owned or minority businesses. The state mandates that, and that was something unique in Virginia, that they wanted to help promote the small business community. So it is worth your time to do it. It gives you increased access to state contracts. And it's actually 42% of the discretionary spending must be done with certified SWAM vendors. Virginia has streamlined the procurement process, and purchases under $10,000 are real easy. They don't have to bid them out. So you can submit a proposal, and if you are a SWAM certified business, then you don't have to worry about a bid process. You're going to have priority over a company that has 400 employees or has big budgets or whatever the case may be. Networking opportunities. It does allow you to connect with those government buyers and private companies who are looking for SWAM certified vendors. And then it gives you a marketing advantage. Use that once you get your SWAM certification, put that seal on your website, put it on your Facebook, put it on your Instagram, whatever outlets that you use for advertising. If you take out an ad in the Chamber magazine, put that SWAM certification in there, because people will see it. And those that are in the procurement business are going to know what that SWAM certification means, and they're going to be able to reach out to you. So the benefits, you do get listed in the SWAM directory, and it does make it easier for other agencies to find you, because there are agencies that, again, they have to use SWAM certified businesses. So they're going to go look, and they're going to check out that list and see if there's a vendor in there And if the spend is under $10,000, they can pick you out of that and not have to put it out for bid. That's, we talked about the contract set asides. And then, of course, the business growth. It helps you with building credibility and attracting partnerships. Who qualifies? You just got to meet the size standards for small business in Virginia. If for woman-owned certification, it's 51% or more, owned and controlled by one or more women. And then minority-owned is 51% or more, owned and controlled by individuals from minority groups. I added a new slide this year. There are 4 certifications under SWAM. Now, there are all kinds of other certifications out there that we won't get into today, but if you go to the Virginia Supplier Diversity website, then you'll see that there are economically disadvantaged woman-owned businesses. There are disabled veteran certifications. Those are all separate. But under the SWAM certification, there are these 4: the small business, the micro business, woman-owned business, and minority owned. So in the state of Virginia, a small business is defined as a business that is at least 51% independently owned and controlled by someone who is a U.S. citizen or a legal resident alien or a naturalized citizen. Has 250 or fewer employees. That's most of the businesses who are members of the chamber. So just about every single business that is a member of the chamber can be SWAM certified under the small business definition. You have to have an annual gross receipt of 10 million or less. Now, in my book, that's not small, but in the state of Virginia, that is a small business. That's the definition. So if you meet those criteria, then apply for SWAM certification. Now, underneath the small business definition, there is also a micro business, and that's an additional certification. So a micro business has to be certified as small first. But if you have no more than 25 employees and no more than 3 million in average revenues over a 3-year period, then you can get the micro business designation, which gives you even more opportunities. So I have 3 designations. I have the small business, the micro business, and the woman-owned business designations, which having all 3 of those gives me an advantage. If there were other businesses doing the same thing as me and they weren't certified, it would give me an advantage with places like Virginia Tech, Radford University, New River Community College, or any of the government agencies, the state, like with the town of Blacksburg or the town of Christiansburg.
It says over a 3-year period prior to the certification. Does that mean you have to have the small business for 3 years before you can?
No, it doesn't mean that. If you are in your first year of business, then they will look at your current year's income, and that's how they'll certify you. When I certified for wine and design, I had just bought the business and got the certification. All right, so we talked about woman-owned business, 51%, but the key, it also has to be operated by. So you can't just say, oh, I'm an owner, but I have, 4 men who are operating the business every day. You have to be controlling and operating the business as a woman, and own at least 51% to get that designation. And then the same thing applies for a minority-owned business. Any questions on those definitions?
You mentioned that having multiple designations will help in that process. Is it that part of the rules are if someone puts in as a small and a micro business and their bid is 10,000, or well, let's say 9,000, so it's under, and you put in as a small, micro, and woman-owned business, you qualify at that 9,000, they have to choose you?
No, they don't have to, but it will give me priority. And it depends on the agency and how much left they have to fulfill of their 42%. And a certain amount of that set aside is for micro business. And so having that micro business designation helps kind of push you up. Doesn't guarantee that you're going to get the business, but it gives you a distinct advantage.
Is there more set aside for different, like, is there one that like they set the most aside for this certification versus this one?
Not necessarily. What they do is they will have a certain amount of their budgets that the state says, okay, this has to be designated for woman-owned businesses, or this amount of money has to be. And when you're talking about state agencies or places like Virginia Tech, and they have millions and millions of dollars a year in accounts payable, even if you're only getting $10,000 of that, that's huge. All right, so the biggest thing to applying for this is be prepared in advance. Don't just go on the website and click on the application and then start looking through it and then going, there's too much here. There's all these things and I don't have this and I don't know where to get my hands on this. So I did print out for everybody who is here a list of the documents that you need to have. So you can pick this up before you leave. I just didn't want everybody kind of looking through that while we were doing the discussion. But if you're prepared, it's pretty simple. Your DMV license and passport or birth certificate, you got to prove that you're a US citizen or a legal resident or a naturalized citizen. So just have proof that, and you have to have that to get a real ID anyway. So have proof of who you are and that you are supposed to be in the United States. Most recent complete federal business tax return. If you are in your first year of business, you do not have to provide that. You just have to say, I'm in my first year of business, okay? So don't stress if you are in your first year and you don't have a business tax return yet, right? But they will ask you for your last year's personal tax return. That just proves that you filed taxes in the US, right? First page of the most recent 4 quarters of your federal 941 form. That is if you have employees. Now, if you don't have employees, you're not filing a 941 form. That's just your employer's tax form. So if you have no employees, if you're a sole proprietor, don't stress over that. You don't have to have it. Documented proof of ownership and acquisition contributions. So if you got a loan, those loan documents will serve as that. If you borrowed money from your dad to get your business started, just a written statement saying that, they loaned you X amount of dollars to start your business. A resume of the owners and officers. So if you are a sole proprietor, just your own resume, what you have done in the past. It needs to be in chronological order and it doesn't need to be fancy. You just list your experience. Copies of professional licenses and permits. And then for sole proprietors or LLCs, you do want to have your form that you filed with the State Corporation Commission. I didn't put that on this slide because kind of things wouldn't fit. But this is just something, and you can, once you apply to the State Corporation Commission, you print this out. Then the other thing is you are going to also, if you're a legal business, you're going to apply for an EIN with the IRS. And this form also, as soon as you print it, as soon as you apply and you have the documents right for this, you can print this right out. You don't have to have it. And then one of the things that I stressed over in the beginning is my articles of organization. Now, if you're a corporation, you're going to have articles of incorporation, and it's going to just talk about your business. So I wanted to just briefly go over this. This is the name of the liability company. So for example, with Paint and Fun Ceramics, the name of my company is Wine Lady Enterprises LLC. But that's not what I'm doing business as. So I have a DBA. If you have a DBA, you're gonna file another form with the state that says I'm operating under a fictitious name. Okay? All of these forms are available real easy on the virginia.gov website. So it's super easy to find. So for articles of incorporation, all that I have on here is the name of my company. So this is for Outrageous Smash and Splatter, which is the LLC that I'm operating under. Name of the LLC's registered owner, which is my name. The registered agent is a Virginia resident, so you have to be a Virginia resident. And I am a member or manager of the LLC. That's all that says. The business address, the principal office address, they can be the same. Who organized the business, which is also me. And then I sign it. Simple. You don't have to go into a whole lot of detail. That's all it takes to put together the articles of organization. It's just showing them that you are a legitimate business.
Is that what counts as the proof of ownership also, or?
You do have to have something else. So like if you put your own personal funds to start your business and you didn't take out a loan, just write a statement that says, I, Chris Womble, contributed X amount of dollars to start IT Mushroom LLC, right? So that's all you would do.
What if I just took over the business, but he's had it since 2007 and he's lost every document because, well, he's a man. No offense.
So even if he's lost every document, you can go back in on the IRS website and get a copy of the EIN. If he doesn't have articles of organization anymore, you can
have that. I do
Okay.
have- That's the only
So-
paper you show that I have.
All right. Everything else, you can go back to the IRS or to the SCC, the State Corporation Commission, and you can print out additional copies of that. The one that I had for Paint and Fun when I applied to be SWAM certified for that, I had lost it. And so I just went back into the SCC and it'll let you print that out.
Is that public information? I'm sorry.
You can actually look it up on the CIS system. It's part of the virginia.gov, all of the websites, but yes, so somebody could look up my company. But now your personal information is not public, but your business information is.
But like your mortgage information and all.
Oh,
this
no,
stuff would
that
be-
stuff is not available through that.
They just say who's your registered agent, so, if you go through a company like LegalZoom, when you're setting up your LLC, your registered agent may be LegalZoom. But normally, if you're the one that registers everything, you're listed registered agent, so they will have your contact information that you supply when doing that. So your address could be there, but not like a mortgage or anything.
Right.
With the second one, so if you're a sole member LLC and you fall under the category that you can file your taxes for your business as self-employed income.
It's passed through.
You just send things in that are your personal tax returns at that point?
Yes, so they would definitely need a copy of your Schedule C that proves that you have an actual business. The Schedule C is on your 1040 form if you own a business that has pass-through income. And so your tax professional can help you with that. All right, any other questions? All right, so after you gather all your paperwork, then you want to register with Virginia's EVA portal. EVA stands for Electronic Virginia. So they do everything electronically now. They have gone through, let me tell you something, 10 years ago, 12 years ago when I did this site was horrendous. It was so hard to manage, it was so hard to navigate, but they have really updated it and it's made it super, super easy. The one thing that I did find difficult was determining what my NAICS code was. Don't ask me what that acronym means, but it's just a code that they use to determine what industry you're in. And let me tell you something, when I put in ceramics, nothing about what I do came up. It was all polymer coated stuff and manufacturing stuff and all, it was just crazy. So narrowing that down was a little daunting. But if you can write down like the major things that you do and just do the search, you can find something. If you're not sure, just talk to somebody else in the chamber, because they can help you. Another small business or another business that's very similar to yours. So with IT, there's a lot that are here that you can reach out to, and they're super helpful. And if you're not sure on that NAICS code, but what that does is it allows the state agencies to be able to find you through the use of that code. And the more codes that you have, the more subcodes, the more business that you can generate through this. So I'm listed now as entertainment, art instruction, an art school, all different kinds of things. Okay. It's super easy to follow along. You just want to log in as a supplier. So set up your account as a supplier. And this is the procurement platform. So for example, one of my employees at Paint and Fun is also a procurement officer for the DMV. So whenever they have things that they need to bid out or team building events or anything that they need to do, they go to the EVA site first. They're required to, and they'll search for what they need. So if they need a caterer, then for an event, then they're going to go to this EVA site and they're going to look up caterers and they'll be able to pull them up from that. All right. So getting registered for this first is very important. Any questions on this one?
Who walked you through the process?
Nobody. I figured it out. I'm so independent. It's hard for me to ask for help. I've learned over the years that I have to, but when I first got started, it was like, okay, I'm going to figure this out or bust. And so I spent a lot of time.
You're a trooper.
Thanks.
You really, like, it's hard to do. Like, I'm the same way, right? But like, you did it.
It is, but now it's so much easier. And that's why when Alan asked me to do this last year, I was like, I'm not really an expert, but I just navigated my way through it. And so if anything that I give you today helps you make this a more smooth transition and makes it easier for you, then that's why I'm doing this. It's like I told Chris earlier, I don't really like speaking in front of groups. I get nervous. But I like to give back. I mean, that's all part of what I do. My whole business is about creating community and creating time together and making connections. And so this is just another way for me to do that. All righty. So once you get your EVA certification or EVA account set up, it's not a certification, it's just an account set up. Once you get that done, then you go to the SBSD, which stands for Small Business Supplier Diversity, and you fill out your SWAM application. Just Monday, they updated this website. It was down on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so they could do a lot of updates. It's a lot easier to navigate today than it was even a week ago. And it's a totally online application form. So when you get all your documents together, just make sure you upload them to your computer, save them in a file marked SWAM Certification, and have them all as PDF documents. So upload your ID card, upload everything, and have it already in a file as part of your preparation for filling this out. It'll just make this go so much faster. And then literally it walks you through step by step. So once you have the documents, this is a breeze. It's getting the documents that is the time consuming part, but it's worth it. Then you submit and wait. It takes anywhere from 60 to 90 days. They will tell you that you can ask them about it, but don't. It's a waste of your time. Don't stress over it. As long as you have your documents, you're gonna get your certification. If for some reason something doesn't look right to them, they will reach out to you and they'll say, hey, we need this. And you just submit whatever it says they need, that you need. They're really, really good about helping you get certified. They don't want to deny people. So as long as you meet those requirements and you submit your documents, you're gonna get the certification. It just takes time. So even renewals, you do have to renew this every 5 years. Even renewals takes time. I mean, when I did my renewal for wine and design the first time, I was like, maybe they're not going to certify me this time. Maybe something's wrong. No, it was like right at the 90-day mark. And I finally got an email and, a little certificate that I could print. All right. After certification, what's next? So like we talked about in the beginning, add your SWAM certification to your website, your marketing materials, your social media. Then go back in and utilize the EVA portal. Like I said, it's a lot easier to navigate now. It was totally not user-friendly 10 years ago. But keep an eye out for new contract opportunities and find a way, like when you are networking, if you are at an event, a chamber event, and you're talking to someone about your business, let them know that you're a SWAM certified business. You'd be surprised at how many people understand and know what that means and will say, hey, we've got money for a small business. We've got set aside money for a micro business. So it can help you. SWAM certifications are valid for 5 years. So mark your calendar for the renewal. Make sure that you get that renewal on time. If you don't, then you have to reapply. So you'll have to go through the whole process again. The renewal process is a lot easier. It's just saying, certifying that you're still in business, sending them copies of your last 3 years tax returns, just so that they can see that you're still operating a legitimate business. Resources and support. So you can get SWAM certification help at your local SBDC office. Anthony Grafsky, who is a member of the chamber, right? They are members, yeah. They provide free consulting workshops. You can also reach out to him and set up an appointment, and he'll come out and meet with you and help talk you through that. If you want to reach out to me, I'm happy to help anybody. If you're having trouble navigating and getting through this, I'm happy to work with you and talk you through it. But the local SBDC does have free consulting and workshops. As a matter of fact, I just took a workshop the other day through the SBDC. It was put on by Mary Washington College, and they're free. It's just a little bit of your time. So make sure that you're going to that website. And then the Virginia Department of Small Business and Supplier Diversity, which is the state agency. They work hand in hand with the local SBDCs. All right. I told you this would be a quick presentation. If you have questions, I'm happy to try to answer them.
Is there good things to know about, all of our business has been business to business, but doing some sort of contract, is there a very strict process, good things to know about this, you could expect this, or this is how they would invoice because I guess we would set terms based off of kind of a project. Oh, we'll pay when it's done, or pay upfront price versus is there anything to know about that?
Well, it depends on who you're working with. So from my experience, when I'm working with Virginia Tech, for example, there are certain departments that they can pay in advance. They have a P card, and up to X amount of dollars, they're allowed to use it. And so if they're doing a team building event for one department, they can use their P card and they can pay me, which is what I prefer. But there's also some other departments that they have to go through the invoicing process. And they have to go through Hokey Mart or, you know, the bursar's office, and you're lucky to get paid in 45 to 60 days. So you just have to be prepared for that and know that if you're dealing with a state agency or the university, that you might be waiting for your payment for a little while.
Okay.
They always pay. It's not a problem with it, but it's a process that they have to go through. And so you just have to, it's frustrating. For me as a small business, you know, I'm putting out not only the cost of the product and everything that goes into that product, but then all of the labor and everything. So that can be a big chunk for a large group. And to have to wait 45 to 60 days to get paid is tough sometimes, but you just have to plan for that.
And I tell you,
I'm sorry, no, go ahead.
and sometimes that can even be longer. Like BAE systems,
Mhm.
which they do a lot of contracting work for like the government and stuff. Sometimes it takes 90 to 120 days to get paid, but you will get paid. But it's just really hard to get paid until you have to plan out for
And
that.
you do have to talk to them, and most of them are very upfront, and they're like, and they'll tell you, because they're not the people that are controlling the money. They're the ones that are trying to set up the event. And a lot of times, especially with Virginia Tech and Radford, it's a student. And then you also have to educate them on your pricing, because they're thinking with a student budget and not a university budget. And so, yes, it's a lot different. Yes, and so you have to explain the value to this student and why you can't offer them a $10 product. Because students will ask you for $10 products.
Outside of the invoicing, is there any other like, hey, I wish I knew this before getting involved with certain contracts?
No, I mean, you know, the payment has been the biggest thing for me, and I want to get art into the hands of everybody, so I don't really have that to worry about, but I know that some folks do, like some photographers, they might not want to work with a certain client, so you have to interview your client. And so it depends on your business. But the biggest thing for me was when I first started this was not having all my documentation together first. That's the biggest takeaway that I can give you on this, is just have your documentation ready first.
Do you take credit cards or just do checks? Cause there's you can say whether you'll take credit cards from the state or just yes or no to credit cards. Do you take credit cards?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and at one point, Virginia Tech was using an e-credit card, which was really great, because but you had to sign up for it. They made it a pretty long process, but as long as you signed up for it, and you could get an e-credit card, and they would send that to you, and then you just process it through whatever payment processing.
But if you sign up for the credit card, then you lose the 3.5% using a credit card, right? From your.
Yes, and you do have to account for that.
You just add that in for your price.
It's either a cost of doing business with the state, or you add it into your pricing. So if you know in advance, you can finagle it into your pricing somehow, but you cannot add it as a line item, because the state won't pay you that, or the university won't. So you have to,
And then would you be willing to share who has the?
I don't, the only way that I find out about that is if they tell me.
Oh.
And so it just depends on department to department. And then also, from what I understand, the last couple of people I talked with, Virginia Tech is trying to eliminate P cards altogether.
It's a very challenging process to submit through procurement, and they are trying to get rid of the P cards.
Will they do ACH?
Well, I think that's what part of the electronic credit card was.
The whole system just takes a ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
But that also means I work in other industries that do a lot of like dealing with different projects and stuff. But I do know that just because you're sending a bill for $200, they still can go with a lower bid of $150, $180. Doesn't mean that they're gonna pay you whatever you're asking for. They may actually come back down to you and say, hey, we only wanna pay for this part or whatever it is, so. And you obviously have the choice to say yes or no, and they also have the choice to go somewhere else.
So Terry, I'm remembering last year, one of the things we talked about was the percentages based and how you're going through, and how those going through procurement. If you're a small women and minority owned business that is bidding in a project over 10,000, you can be a certain percentage above a bid of someone without, and they still have to go with you, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so last year I brought Crystal with me. She wasn't available because she is a procurement director for the DMV. So she understands the procurement process with the state a lot better than I do, because that's her full-time job. But what she was telling us is that if you're bidding on a job and you have a non-certified company that bids $15,000, and you are a certified company and you bid 17.5, even though you're $2,500 more than this non-certified company, if they have not met their threshold for the 42% spend with a SWAM certified business, they have to go with you, even if your bid is higher. So it gives you a bit of an edge over those larger corporations. And then it also gives you that opportunity to go in and show them why you're the best. And so that next time they might just contact you directly.
Does that mean strategically looking at some of the institutions that you're going with, whether they're on calendar year or fiscal year, you should be planning some of your bidding process around that time of year, where if someone's calendar year in January, they obviously have not spent their 42%.
Correct.
You bid a little higher in January versus in December, you bid lower.
Maybe that would be a strategy. And I would think, yeah, I would think that if that's their calendar year, if that's their fiscal year, if they go on calendar year. A lot of state agencies, I know, like the town of Blacksburg is on a fiscal year and their year starts July 1. So you need to know whether they're on a calendar year or on a fiscal year.
We're a really small business that doesn't do this kind of thing. But on the other end of it, is this also a resource, or is there a place for resources for getting grants for certain things? Like we all need to go get our CDLs and it's $2,000. Are there places on the website or anywhere else that also helps you with the grants or the resources to get some of that funding?
So I still struggle with grants. I mean, that's a whole nother topic, especially for for-profit businesses. So I would reach out to Anthony Grafsky and he can direct you more about where to look for those resources. I did sign up for a program called SKIP, and they it's a resource, and they have all different kinds of grants that are designed strictly for for-profit businesses. So I can send you that link. It'll help me out too.
Okay.
I'd also look at Montgomery County Economic Development and the River Valley Regional Commission, because they also have some grant opportunities. Some are things like revolving loan funds, but they have different resources in addition to the SBDC, where you can find some of that information.
Can I ask?
What are those again?
The Montgomery County Economic Development and the New River Valley Regional Commission.
Thank you.
I know this is probably off topic of the local businesses, but I have a question for you, since I'm also like in government, but do localities also have to follow that procurement as far as the percentage of how much they can, when they're in the bidding process? With the certification, as far as like if it goes above what they have?
Yeah, according to the state, you're supposed to.
Even
So-
localities, so if it's
Yes,
not. a
even
state-
localities, yes.
Thank you.
How do you search, when you're trying to search for or bid for something, do you just put in that number?
Yes, your NAIC, once you register for an account with Eva,
Yeah.
then it will walk you through exactly what you need to do to look at those bidding opportunities. So
Will it send you those?
you can sign up for notifications, yes. Yes, so if you're looking for those bids, like for me, I don't look for big bids because people are not really bidding out team building events and things like that. But I do have a list of all of the departments and all of the companies, and I can utilize that list for my contacts and reach out that way.
And I had another question, but so maybe somebody else will ask, but mine will come.
If I haven't filed the taxes yet as a 50/50 or 51% owner, does that matter as long as we can show our documentation that we just changed it? Because we just changed it January this year.
Uh-huh.
So if we submit for this, it's not gonna show that there's two owners or that there's a 51% owner. Does that matter?
No, because as long as you have your documentation that you're now a 51% owner, then already you qualify as a small business.
Right.
So you're gonna get that certification. But because you changed ownership this year, then you can still
Just
qualify
submit
for
that
the
with the
woman owned.
document.
Yes, submit that with your documents. All right. Was there anybody online that had questions? Can you see any?
I've not had any come through online.
Okay. Well, I hope this was helpful. If you have other questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. You guys know where to find me. I'm always at the mall.
Do you do your own crafts at the place in the mall?
I
Do you
do.
sit down and
Absolutely, as often as I can, because when I get stressed over the paperwork, then I sit down and I make something.
we love the glass blowing, so if you haven't done it, go, because that place is a lot of fun.
What's Anthony's name again?
Anthony Grafsky, Grafsky.
And he's with,
He's with the SBDC, yeah.
It was Roanoke Small Business.org.
he's in Roanoke or he's in?
No, he's in New River Valley, but they
Yeah.
just, they merged, they had like an office here, but I think he
So-
works mostly out of his home,
Yeah, they are.
but
They
he'll
are
come to you.
funded through Roanoke County, which was a change of the past few years. So he is a part-time advisor, but he's specifically for the New River Valley.
Yeah, and he's great to work with. You know, he'll answer any of your questions. He'll direct you wherever you need to go. He's really good at what he does.
And some of the localities will still supply, some of the money for that. If I'm correct, I think the town of Christiansburg still, puts a part of the money for is it still run under the Chamber of Commerce of Roanoke?
I don't know. I don't think it's still run under the chamber. I know the chamber still supports them, but they moved their fiscal parents. I think it's 2 years ago now to Roanoke County from where they were before. So now, anyone who's with the SBDC, I believe are considered Roanoke County employees, whereas before they were not. So yeah, that changed only 2 years ago, and I think some of those adjustments happened where their funding is different. I don't know all the details though, but yeah.
If you go on their website and sign up for like anything at all, you'll get an email at least once a week about everything going on. And like 99% of it's free. It's
Yeah.
actually great.
Yeah, if you're subscribed to our chamber newsletter as well, there is a link in the member notes events section that always links to what they have coming up. So yeah, they're a great partner, and before joining chamber, I used their business advising services. I'll also shout out, because as we're looking at this, town of Christiansburg, town of Blacksburg also have their own. I think the titles are slightly different. I think Christiansburg is Small Business Solutions Manager, Blacksburg is just Business Solutions Manager. But Miles Campbell with Town of Christiansburg, Angie Marcolini with Town of Blacksburg can help with some of this, not as in-depth likely as the SBDC, because they are a little bit closer to a state agency working with the Small Business Administration. But for other services, those are available, depending on where your business is registered. Well, great, thank you for being
Thank you.
our speaker this morning. Appreciate everything that you do, not just here, but on leadership, on the board. Really a great asset for us here at the chamber. I want to point out a couple of events that we have coming up that kind of lead into this or take away from this as well. October 2nd, we have our Eggs and Issues that is on talent attraction and retention, particularly if you're looking at employees in the future or just how you get a college student to stay here. That's going to be a really insightful one. In November, we have an Eggs and Issues that is in the legislative update. We don't have a set date for that there because it is fully based on when the legislators are available. We do have a small business workshop in October, like I mentioned. It is the 22nd that is on grant writing. It is primarily nonprofit focused because Jean Haskell, who's going to be our presenter for that, that's where all of her background and experience comes from. But as I mentioned, November, I looked up the date. It's November 13th is the one that's going to be on crime prevention. And a busy week that week. We also have on November 12th, a lunch and learn that is on end of year financial planning. Just making sure you're ready. It's not going to be here's all of your tax advice. It's more about here as a business owner, how you can prepare and make sure you're getting into that, and then also hire an accountant. Because those are different pieces. So thanks everybody for being here. One last one I'll mention that for those watching the recording, this won't be any help. We have our business after hours next week. It is on a Tuesday night as opposed to our normal Thursday night. It is going to be out at Sinkland Farms. They are recently ranked the #4 pumpkin patch in the United States. And that Tuesday, we are going to have full access as chamber members to everything the Pumpkin Festival has to offer. They're even going to bring out someone specifically that day to do the hay rides for us. So come out 5 to 6:30 and have a fun time. Eat, drink, and get a pumpkin, I guess. Yeah. Awesome.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.